Today I'd like to talk to you about a very big subject indeed, and that is the internet and how you can use it to market your practice. Now, I'm aware that there are other professors here at SPU giving sort of specialized pieces of the whole internet picture, whether it's blogging or social media or whatever, and I know those courses are very, very valuable, and you should definitely take advantage of them. However, I'd like to start with a sort of broad overview. Let's begin with the internet itself. I saw a show not too long ago on PBS in which a scientist said that there had been 4 great revolutions in human communication. The first was the invention of language, the spoken word. The second was the invention of the alphabet and written language. The third was the invention of the printing press by Gutenberg and the invention of books. And the fourth, he maintained, was the internet. That's just how vast and sweeping a change this is in our lives, how huge a thing it is. I know when we talk about, say, the invention of television, if you'd gone prior to 1950 and sort of wondered what American families did in the evening, there were 100 different answers. They went outside to play sports, they read books, they played board games and parlor games and all of that. But, you know, after 1950, there was really only one answer. They watched TV. And the internet is that kind of a sweeping change that affects every single American household, every person in the world, really. So, start with that as a broad perspective or point of view on how that affects you and your practice. When I talk to my clients about internet marketing and about search engines, what I say to them is that if you had asked me really about the internet, say 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I would have said to you, well, you need to have a website the same way you need to have a business card. It's just too embarrassing not to have one. But it's a kind of online brochure where people could read about you and don't expect to get a lot of business from it. Well, that has changed and changed dramatically. And the reason is the advent of the search engine, the Googleization of the world. This is the way that everybody finds everything now. Everybody finds everything. Whatever the yellow pages once were to attorneys, this is the yellow pages on steroids. This is an incredibly powerful medium, and so your entire web marketing strategy has to be built around one thing, and that's the behavior of the search engines. Everything else that we really recommend is going to grow out of that. And lest you think I'm being too technical or mechanical about it, I will tell you that really, as my friend Grant Griffith says, the ultimate search engine is the human search engine. So if we build our web strategy to appeal to that human being as a search engine, then the actual computer search engines will mimic that behavior and will perform in the same way. So we'll keep that in mind as we go along. So when I'm speaking to conferences of attorneys, a lot of times, I will start by saying I have good news and bad news. The good news is attorneys have been dragged kicking and screaming into the 20th century of marketing. The bad news is it's the 21st. What do I mean by that, really? Well, 20th century marketing attorneys never really got comfortable or got with it in a lot of ways. It was only, I think, in 1981 that court decisions made it possible, for example, for attorneys to advertise. And a lot of attorneys who went to school in that era or before got very strong messages from law school that said that, attorneys are professionals, they're not in business, they're not in commerce, that people who do marketing and who do advertising really are ambulance chasers, and they're people to be looked down upon. And that was a very strong message that proved hard to shake. It was only really over the last 20 years of the 20th century that attorneys started to get comfortable a little bit with the idea of marketing their practices. First understanding that marketing does not equal advertising, and that advertising itself can be done well or done ill. And I always say that marketing is like atomic power. That is, it's value neutral in and of itself. You can use atomic power to light cities, or you can use atomic power to blow up cities. And the same thing is true of marketing. You can use marketing to promote great attorneys, or it can be used to promote charlatans. But in and of itself, it doesn't have any moral content. It's not right or wrong. So when we think about the internet itself, you have to realize that this is a great leveler of the playing field. This is a tremendous opportunity for you as a solo practitioner. In marketing theory, you use guerrilla marketing tactics to get to the top of a given market or niche. You then use conventional marketing like advertising to keep other people out. So if I had worked my way up to be sort of the top dog attorney in your community, I would then spend a lot of money on advertising in order to make the price of entry into that market too high for you. And I would keep the bulk of the business and the bulk of the marketing presence by doing that. Well, the internet, it's very hard to do that. It's a level playing field. So somebody with smarts and savvy and the time they put into understanding how the internet works, how internet marketing works, you can do better than the biggest law firms that have tons of money to burn if you want to, and if you're willing to put in the time and effort. So really, when we talk about this kind of marketing for lawyers, I try to divide it up into several sections that I think we can use as a framework here. The first one is the website itself, your web presence itself. The second part of that equation would be blogging. And there's a school of thought out there that you do not need to have a static website and a blog. You only need to have one site, in effect, that's both. And we'll discuss that. But blogging is a very important and central part of this whole strategy. And then after blogging, we can discuss what are loosely described as Web 2.0 or social media methods. So that's stuff like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and so on. So we'll take those in sort of a 1, 2, 3 order, and see if we can't learn something that would be of value to you. So why don't we leave it there for today, and I won't make you wait a month or anything for my next post, but in our next lesson we'll go into websites in depth and what are the elements of a good website and what should you have on the website, the use of video on the website, and conversion strategies, which are a very, very important part of the website. we'll talk about search engines and how they behave and how you can make them work in your favor. And then in a subsequent subsequent lesson, we'll do blogs. Even though I know there are other people at Solo Practice University who are covering that territory, I'll give you my take on it and what you should do about it. And then we'll move on then to social media. So consider this an introduction and an overview. And I will tell you this, that as a solo, if I were to tell you there's one thing that you need to concentrate on, one thing to become an expert at in terms of your own marketing, it would be the internet, because it's so powerful and so cost effective. You're not paying for printing, you're not paying for advertising, you're not paying for mailing, you're not paying to put on or produce seminars or any of those things. The actual cash outlay here is very, very small indeed, particularly in relation to the potential return. So, if I were telling you to concentrate on one thing, use all your time and energy and knowledge to understand one thing, it's going to be the internet. And what I'll do is I've written a 28-page white paper called Using the Internet to Market Your Law Practice. Here it is. And I will send a link to be posted with this lesson, and you can download this for free in electronic form. If you'd prefer to have a hard copy like this, email me and I'll send you one. So until our next lesson, thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to getting into the detail of using the internet to market your solo law practice. Thank you.